Hello, welcome back to another episode of Math with Haas. You are watching Precalculus Season 1, Episode 17, Part 4. So we're going to continue our discussion of implementing exponentials and logarithms into Google Sheets, and we're going to talk about how to graph a exponential function now. So recall our exponential functions were of the form y equals ab to the x plus c. So let's start with an example here. So if we have y is equal to, how about 2 to the x plus 5, we need to make a table of values. So here's my x values, here's my y values. So we're just going to plug in some numbers. How about -3, -2, and then I'm going to select both of these, and notice how I have this crosshair at the bottom right corner. I'm going to click once I have that crosshair, and when I drag this, notice I have this pattern arrive. So what Google noticed is that when I selected these two values here, that I am having a pattern where I'm just adding 1 every time, and Google will recognize that pattern, and you just click and drag and it'll automatically fill in according to that pattern. It's very useful. Now, since y is equal to 2 to the x, I'm going to do 2, and then I'm going to hold shift and 6. So there's my exponent, here's my x value, and then I'm adding 5 and enter. Now, likewise, I can just click on the bottom right corner and drag down, and notice here we are taking the x value in cell A2. This one's taking the value from A3, so on and so forth. They're automatically updated, which is very nice. So now that we have a table of values, we can now make a graph. So we're going to hit Insert, Chart. Let's take a better look at this. Okay. So notice how this is a very rough looking chart, right? See how it's like a straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. Whereas in reality, our curve is going to be much more smooth. So what we can do is hit Customize, go to Chart Style, and we'll make it smooth. There we go. That looks much better. Alright, and you can see there's all sorts of other options around here, but for our purposes, we'll just focus on this. So here's a basic example. Now, when we look at our graph here, or I mean our curve, we can think about how can we generalize this, right? So we got a particular function, 2 to the x plus 5. But if we want to generalize this now, we want to think back to this original function here. So when I think about this function, I can think about it as y is a function with 4 variables, right? We have a b, x, and c. A, b, and c will depend upon the particular exponential function, and x is just the values that you plug in like normal to get your y coordinates. But for our programming purposes, we want to think about a, b, and c as also variables. So let's go ahead and get rid of this graph. And I'm going to now put in a spot for a, b, and c, not b. So in this case, if we want, we could put a is 1, b is 2, c is 5. Now I'm going to delete all these. We should probably put a border up also. Let's see here. And then let's put a border here. Demarcate that. There we go. So if I think about this general function that I circled here, we need to hit equals, enter the equation editor. We want to do a times our base, so that's the 2, to the x plus c. And we hit enter. Notice we get the same value as last time. Now notice when I drag it right here, error, numerical value is bonkers, is what that's saying. So we gotta figure out what's going on here. So right here we had C2, D2, E, right? So our ABC values, but notice what happened here. When I dragged it down, it automatically changed to C's, right? So see, go away there, sign. There we go. So when we look at this, notice it's using these cells here that are highlighted, and we don't want it to use C3, D3, and E3. So what we can actually do, first I'm going to delete this. I'm going to modify this. So if I put a $sign right here, and here, right here, 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 and here. I think that, I forget what it's called, might be like an absolute reference or something. Pretty much what it says is, it's telling Google, like, okay, when I click and drag my formula, my equation has to use these three values right here now, but when I put those $signs in. So when I click and drag now, notice only the A3 is being updated. See that A3 is now A4. If I drag it down, we get the exact same values as last time. Okay, so that's exciting. So this here now allows you to we can put in anything, right? So this function now, if I put 5 and hit enter, so this would be the equation 5 times 2 to the x plus 5. And we could change it more, right? Put 3, how about a 2.5, and how about a 7? Why not? Let's go crazy. So this function here would correspond to y is equal to 3 times 2.5, that quantity to the x, plus 7. Notice how I just automatically updated it. In fact, we can go even crazier and put a negative sign right here, right? And it'll automatically graph it, see? Or, I mean, plot it. So we can see the problems with the negative right here, right? Difference between positive or even an odd exponents. But you can still graph it. So we can see what we have here. And we should probably get our graph back up, right? So let's hit zoom chart. Alright, let's make this bigger. Don't forget we gotta customize this. Chart style, smooth. So re-emphasizing, so this is 5. Notice how it just automatically updates. We'll make this an 8. That's awkward. 5, 8. Why do we have a bump right here? Probably just a problem in its graphing. Since if we look at our graph here, notice it's going like 7, 7, 7, 12, 47, 300, 2500, 20,000. That's probably what's going on there. Is just our values, it's just going up so quickly that made our graph here go nuts. So let's pick something more concrete. 2, 1, not 1, but how about 3? There we go. That's a much better curve right there. How about -1? There we go. Yeah, we can make this a 1. That's looking much better. Alright. So now I want to think about, well, suppose I don't want these values here. Suppose I want to do more values. Like, what if I wanted to graph 50 values of x? Well, that would mean I would have to drag this down to wherever 50 is. In that case, it would be like 52. And you can see that would take a while to scroll and drag. That's kind of a drag. get rid of that. Yep. So here's a new idea we're going to implement. I'm going to delete this, and we'll get rid of that for now. And let's come up with another quantity, number of x values. So suppose we wanted a graph that we want a table of values with 20 x values. Alright. Now we're going to need to tell this what x values start with. Like, do we want to start with x equals 0, x equals 1? So let's pick a starting x value. I'm going to say, how about -10? So what we're going to do is, by picking -10, we're going to make a equation here, a Google Sheets equation, so that it'll generate all the numbers from -10 to 10, because you have for a total number of 20. So let's see here. How we're going to do this is using what's called an array formula. So array formula right here. What an array formula does is it generates a row or column of information. So it's very useful. So what we're going to do, so we're going to use, so this is going to equal, here's what we'll do. So we're going to use our starting value, which is G2. So I'm going to make sure our reference here is strictly for G2. Okay, so we have our G2. And now what I'm going to do is add what we're going to use is called the row formula. So what this does is the row function recalls the row of a particular or what number a cell is, what row it's in. So, well, I guess we'll explain that off on the side for a moment. I want to finish my thought here. So what the row function does is it says, well, if I look at, say, D2 here, what row does is it returns the 2. Okay, so if I was in D10, then it will return a 10 as the row number. So that's all it's doing. It's returning these row numbers. So what I'm going to do is use these row numbers as a way of keeping track. Okay, so we got our number of values, we got implement. So what we're doing is we got our starting value, our -10, and we're going to add all of our row values, and we're starting at 2. Now keep in mind we need to start at -10, so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to offset it with a -2. So it's essentially -12 plus 2, what we got going on. The other thing to note is, notice I'm going from A2 to A, so that's literally every single cell in this column after from A2 down. Alright, so this is our array formula. If I was to hit enter right now, we got -10, -9, -8, on down. How far down this goes? I don't think we want 998 values. Maybe you do want to use 998 values for your chart, but if you don't, we need to put a limit. And we said the number, our limit here was 20, so what we're going to do is put parentheses around all this. And one way we can do this is array constrain. So here we go, array constrain, a way of constrain our array. So what we're going to do is a comma. Alright, now for our array constraint, we got our array formula here. And then since we want it to have a number, only 20 values here, we're gonna click on F2. Let's see what this does. NA, wrong number. Expected 3 arguments but got 2. Okay, so I missed something. Oh, okay. So how array constrain works is you need to have a number of rows and a number of columns. So the F2 will be the number of rows, and this one here will refer to the number of columns. And there we go. There we go. So there's 20 values right there. Let's check. Is that 20 values? There should be a way. Oh, whoops. What did I do? Close it. So notice we can check this to count 19. See. Oh, whoops. I forgot that one right there. So there is. So this is correctly identifying all 20. So I guess if you want to go from negative 10 to 10, you need 21. So there we go. Alright, so we can highlight this and we notice down here, there is 21 values. Alright. Now notice if I want to calculate 100 values starting at x equals negative 10, there we go. It's all right there built in. So that's very convenient. Now notice all this is auto-generated by this one Google Sheets formula. We can generate a Google Sheets formula very similar. So if we go array constrain, and then we'll have to put our array formula in, right? Now what we want for our array formula is let's go C2. So our A value times our B value, which is D3. Now remember it's A times B to the exponent, and our exponent now is going to be A2 colon A. So that's the entire column again, right? That's what makes this an array. Then we want to add our C value, which was E2. Alright, so there is our function. Now we gotta tell it to stop, and we want to stop at F2 number of calculations, and we need to remember to run the 1 there for the number of columns. So now we have that automatically generated table of values. How do you like that? No need to click and drag. It will automatically update it. If you want to start at negative 1,000, there you go. Starting at negative 1,000. Now notice, since these numbers are really small, right, these numbers are really small. That's because the decimal values are so minuscule and different at that point. That's why you can't really tell what's going on. But let's try. How about negative 100? Be more conservative. Okay, see, negative 22, we can start seeing our decimals again. So I guess we should pick, how about negative 23? Alright, there's a way of auto-generating your table of values. Now what we need to do is insert a new table. So what I'm going to do is I hold shift and then I clicked on the A. And if I hold shift and click on the B, I have these entire columns. Now I hit insert chart. There we go. Not formatted nicely, but it works. Oops, we should probably smooth this back up and move it back up. Alright. Oh, this is not x versus y, this is just x and y. Here we go, x versus y. Did a scatter plot. We need to customize this. Chart style. Let's make it a line. There we go. We got our nice line chart now. Alright, it'll take a little bit of formatting cleaning this up, but at least you got your chart. Alright, well, we've looked at generalizing our y equals ab to dx. We looked at generalizing our exponential function for any a, b, or c. And then we looked at improving our Google Sheets equation to take into account any number of x values that you wanted to calculate and wherever you wanted to start from. And it would automatically update that. And now you have a chart that will automatically update with that. Depending on the values you pick, it may not look that nice. 100 values start at negative 23. This doesn't look too pretty with that, so you'd have to do some formatting, clean it up. But this gives you a basic idea of some ways of playing around with graphs in Google Sheets and how to auto-generate using the array formula and array constrain. Those are two very powerful functions. Alright, well, thank you for watching this video of Math with Haas. If you've been enjoying our content, please consider subscribing and supporting us on Patreon. Thank you for joining the math party, and I will see you next time.